Welcome to today's podcast. My name is Dr. Shivi Raya and I am a GP who today will be discussing preventative health issues to empower you to live to your healthiest potential. I'm excited to share with you about the various topics that affect one's physical and emotional health. So sit back, relax, contemplate, and engage in these podcasts to bring about the best health for you. Mummy, I'm scared of snakes, she said. I would love to just feel completely safe. That sounds like a lovely idea, said her mummy. Let me tell you a great big story. Do you know there's a snake-like structure living in your body? What? She asked in surprise and wonder. Yes, said her mother. Let's take a bit of a dive into your body and see what it looks like. Mother and daughter made themselves very small and magically crept into the base of their head where there was a hole. This hole, my darling, is called the foramen magnum. It is the hole which connects the brain to your spinal cord. Ooh, said the little girl. That sounds interesting. And down they dived into the deep black hole of the foramen magnum. The little girl was used to swinging on monkey bars. As she hopped onto the first vertebrae of the spine, the cervical vertebrae, her mother said, "Look at this big long slide that's going from your head at the bottom of this foramen magnum all the way down to the base of your spine. Can you see that far down?" she asked the little girl. The little girl stood on the first vertebrae, or the little bony structure in the neck, with her mum on the edge and peered down. It did indeed look like a long slide. In fact, it almost looked like a long, slippery snake slide. "Yes," said her mum, grinning from ear to ear. "This is like a snake. Look, it curves in and out, and ends up at the bottom." "Ooh, how exciting," said the little girl, her fear completely lost by now. Her mother showed her the front of the spine, which all looked like smooth bodies, almost like square bodies, but not quite like square bodies. All the way down the spine, she saw that there were 7 vertebrae in the neck, and then she saw that there were 12 in the middle of her back, 5 in her lower back, and then they seemed to meet this beautiful structure called the sacrum at the bottom. And there was like a little tailbone at the base of the spine called the coccyx. At the front of the spine, she could see long curtains hanging from the top of the vertebrae all the way down to the bottom. Her mother said to her, "This ligament is called the anterior longitudinal ligament. Ooh, let's call it ALL, A-L-L for short. And it's like a long curtain that hangs from the top of the neck all the way down to the back. And if you look at the back of the spine," "Ooh," said the little girl, "there's lots of little pokey spiny bits coming out. These are called the spinous processes." "Oh, Mummy, can I climb them?" the little girl asked. The mum said, "Of course you can." And down they went, climbing down each spinous process, which was in the middle at the back of the vertebrae. Like a monkey bar, they climbed, but this time instead of climbing across, they climbed it down like a ladder. So they climbed from the spinous process of the first vertebrae down to the second, down to the third, down to the fourth, and she noticed that As she climbed down the spinous processes, they were getting bigger and bigger down the middle of the back and then down to the bottom of the lower back. My, how interesting, said the little girl. These spinous processes are very, very strong. Did you notice the big curtain at the back of the vertebral bodies as well? Said the mummy. Yes, I did. What another beautiful long curtain it has. This curtain is called the posterior longitudinal ligament, said Mummy, smiling at the little girl's wonder. The little girl felt the curtain at the back and the curtain at the front, and she called them the ALL ligament and the PLL ligament, anterior longitudinal ligament, posterior longitudinal ligament. There were lots of other little mini curtains as well, in between the spinous processes and in between the bones. The little girl noticed that there was like a little cushion between the bones. She poked them and saw that they were quite firm on the outside, but she then decided to dive into the middle of these structures between the bones. Let's dive in, said Mummy. These are called the discs. These discs are amazing. They are strong on the outside, but look, when you jump into the middle of the discs, these are very jelly-like structures. This is called the nucleus of the disc. Ooh, it feels really squishy. The little girl and her mummy jumped up and down on the inside of the disc like a trampoline. It was so soft yet firm and squishy. And when they felt the outside of the disc, they saw that it was indeed strong and firm. What an amazing structure this spine is, said the little girl. Yes, and can you see that it curves like a snake? Oh, yes, said the little girl. It does indeed. A snake is like every other thing in this world. You don't have to fear it, but you do need to be mindful of it and its space and give it its space and not go interfering in its space and poking it or touching it when it doesn't want to be touched. Leave it be and it can slide away, and just make sure you let others know that there's a snake around so that they can get out of its way. And tell an adult if you notice a snake next time, said Mummy. Okay, said the little girl. Her fear dissolved and dissipated in the wonder of seeing that her own spine was snake-like in structure. Oh, but the journey is not finished, said Mummy. Have a look at the back of the vertebral bodies. After you see the curtain, can you see this long structure running in between? Oh, wow! And she saw lots of nerve fibers running in from the top of the neck all the way down to the back. And each of them seemed to have little shoots of nerves coming out on the side. This is called the spinal cord, said Mummy. This spinal cord is so important. It's like a telephone. It communicates what's going on from the brain to the rest of the body. Oh, wow. The spinal cord? Yep. It communicates what's happening. It takes messages back and forth from different parts of the body, from the muscles to the joints to the ligaments, that all feed into this big communicating structure and tells it to either move muscles or tells you whether you're feeling hot or cold, and all sorts of other information as well. This is such a magical experience, Mummy, the spinal cord. And as she stroked it, she could feel the sensations of tingling running down the nerves, almost reverberating in through her own body as well. Yes, but the spinal cord has to be kept safe and protected. And that's what the vertebral column, which is all these bones and discs, do. They keep the spinal cord nice and safe and protected. Oh, Mummy, what a wondrous thing this spine of ours is. Yes, indeed. It lets us bend forwards, backwards, sideways, twisting. It allows you to do all these movements and allows you to keep your center steady as you carry out your movement in the world. "Oh, thanks, Mummy," she said, and gave her mum a big, huge hug. And as they climbed back up the spinous processes, she noticed that there were little joints on the side as well, little bony structures shooting out to the side. These are called your facet joints. They're the bits that connect each bone to the next bone. They decided instead of climbing up the spinous processes, they would climb up the facet joints instead. And so mother and daughter climbed up the facet joint. Mum climbed up the right side and the daughter climbed up the left side, and they climbed up and up and up and up until they reached the top vertebrae, and they had reached the foramen magnum, which was the hole where the head and the spine met. "Are you ready to go back now?" "Yes, I am," said the little girl, her heart full of wonder of the magic of her body, and her fear melted away. And this is the story of the spine. There's obviously so much more intricate detail in the spine, but I've kept it simple so that we can all traverse our spinal cord together during this podcast and have gratitude for the amazing structure in our spine. I'm really excited to share with you a course that I've created. It's called Connecting to Your Joy. I have listed the modules below. It's got 6 modules, and I created this course for any woman who has been feeling sad or low in mood, anxious, numb, disconnected, empty inside, as a way of connecting you back to your deepest sense of joy and your natural birthright, which is to be in your joy. I have also created a kids book, and it's called The Star Who Remembered to Shine Again, and it's a delightful little book, again helping kids to keep being connected to their joy. And I originally wrote this book for my daughter, and I thought, well, I should really share this with everyone. And so this book is now up on Amazon. Do look it up. It's called The Star Who Remembered to Shine Again. And I have also created an ebook, and it's called Cozy Creations. And this is up on Amazon as well. And I wrote this book with the intention of sharing how I have created cozy corners in my soul, within myself, and how I have then taken those corners inside of me and manifested it externally in my physical surroundings. And so it just is my hope that in sharing that, you too can create cozy corners in your life. So do check these out, or if you know anybody who might be wanting a little bit of an extra dosage of joy, and who doesn't, then do check out these offerings that I have on raisedconsciousness.com. And remember, I am also releasing YouTube videos and ongoing podcasts as well. So keep connecting to your joy, and I will meet you here next time. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Keep being radiantly healthy, and I will join you for the next podcast in a fortnight.